They say the cruelest lies are the ones told in silence. But sometimes the truth is a public execution. When a man decides to discard his wife, he usually does it behind closed doors. But a monster, he sells tickets to the show. Damon Cross didn't just divorce Elara. He stood on a stage made of gold, in front of the entire world, and pointed to a 40-foot screen. It wasn't a tribute video. It was her medical records. "Incompatible," he said into the microphone, his voice echoing through the silent ballroom. "You are a biological dead-end, Elara, and I need a highway." He didn't just break her heart. He auctioned off her wedding ring to the highest bidder to pay for his mistress's nursery. But Damon made one fatal calculation error. He thought he was throwing out the trash. He didn't realize he was evicting the landlord. If your husband did this to you, would you walk away or burn the building down with him inside? Some mistakes change everything. If stories of regret, grovel, and hard-earned love speak to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you've ever loved someone who realized too late, tell me in the comments. Now, back to her story. The Grand Celestial Hotel smelled like champagne and ambition. Crystal chandeliers fractured light into 1,000 diamonds across the marble floor. Every person in that ballroom wore their net worth on their wrist or around their neck. Pharmaceutical executives, venture capitalists, senators who'd flown in on private jets. This wasn't just a fundraiser. This was where empires announced themselves. Elara Cross stood backstage, adjusting the clasp on her emerald necklace. Her fingers trembled. Not from nerves. She'd done 100 of these galas. But from exhaustion. The past 6 months had been brutal. Damon's company, Genesis Biotech, had been bleeding money. Board meetings stretched past midnight. Investors were skittish. And through it all, Elara had been the one holding the foundation together, restructuring portfolios, renegotiating contracts, keeping the dream alive. Tonight was supposed to be their victory lap. The announcement of the Genesis Hope Foundation, a billion-dollar initiative to democratize gene therapy. Elara had designed every aspect of it: the grants, the research partnerships, the ethics board. She heard Damon's voice from the stage, smooth as expensive scotch. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight. What we're building isn't just medicine. It's evolution." Applause rippled through the crowd. Elara smiled, waiting for her cue. Any moment now, he'd call her name. She'd walk out, take his hand, and they'd present their vision together. Partnership, legacy, future. But Damon's next words turned her blood to ice water. "Before we continue, I need to introduce someone who's changed my life. Someone who's shown me what real compatibility looks like." Elara's smile froze. Through the gap in the curtain, she watched a woman glide onto the stage. Tall, blonde, wearing a dress that cost more than most people's cars. Dr. Sasha Volkov, Damon's personal physician for the past year. The woman who'd been taking too many private meetings, who'd accompanied Damon on too many business trips. The woman Elara had convinced herself was nothing more than paranoia. Sasha's hand rested on a visible curve beneath her silk gown. 6 months along, maybe more. The ballroom went silent. Cameras flashed. Somewhere, a glass shattered against marble. Damon wrapped his arm around Sasha's waist. "Dr. Volkov has been instrumental in my personal transformation. She's helped me understand something crucial about legacy, about biological imperatives, about what it takes to build something that lasts. Elara's legs stopped working. She gripped the curtain, her knuckles white. "Which brings me to a difficult announcement," Damon continued. His voice carried no hesitation, no regret. "My wife, Elara, has been removed from the Genesis Biotech Board of Directors, effective immediately. She's also being removed from the foundation we were supposed to launch tonight." The murmur that went through the crowd sounded like a living thing, shocked, hungry, waiting. "I know this seems sudden," Damon said, clicking a remote. The massive LED screen behind him flickered to life. "But I want to be transparent with all of you. You deserve to know why." Elara's medical records filled the screen, 40 feet tall. Every intimate detail of her reproductive health exposed under stage lights. Patient, Elara Cross. Diagnosis, primary ovarian insufficiency. Prognosis, permanent infertility. Recommendation, donor egg counseling. The words glowed like accusations, like verdicts, like tombstones. "Genesis Biotech is about the future," Damon said. "About passing on not just wealth, but genetic excellence. My wife is a brilliant woman, beautiful, intelligent, but biology doesn't care about intelligence. And I need an heir. Elara is, unfortunately, a dead end. I need a highway." Someone in the audience gasped. Another started to stand, then sat back down, afraid to miss what happened next. Elara couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The curtain was still clutched in her fist, the only thing keeping her upright. This wasn't happening. This was a nightmare. Any second she'd wake up. "I know this is unorthodox," Damon continued, "but I believe in radical honesty. Dr. Volkov is carrying my child, my son, the heir to Genesis Biotech, and to honor this new beginning, I'm doing something symbolic." He reached into his pocket and pulled out Elara's wedding ring. The diamond caught the light, throwing rainbows across the crowd. The ring she'd worn for 7 years. The ring his grandmother had given him. The one he'd slipped onto her finger in a garden ceremony that felt like a lifetime ago. "This ring represents the old paradigm," Damon said. "Sentimental attachments that hold us back. Tonight, I'm auctioning it off to the highest bidder. All proceeds will go to the Volkov Fertility Grant, which will help Dr. Volkov. Sasha, establish her clinic for women who want what Elara couldn't give me, a future." Sasha smiled. Her hand caressed her stomach in slow, deliberate circles. "Do I hear 50,000? Damon called out. Someone's paddle went up. Then another. The bidding war lasted 90 seconds. The ring sold for $320,000 to a real estate mogul in the third row, who immediately gave it to his mistress. The audience applauded. Actually applauded. Elara finally moved. She turned, walking backward, her heels clicking on the polished floor. A security guard appeared at her elbow. "Mrs. Cross, this way." "I know where the exit is," she whispered. "Not that exit." His grip tightened. Mr. Cross was specific. "Service entrance." They led her through the kitchen, past line cooks who averted their eyes, past busboys hauling trash. They opened a door that led to an alley where dumpsters sat in neat rows, reeking of rotting fruit and spoiled cream. "Where the trash goes," the guard said, not unkindly. He almost looked sorry. The door locked behind her. Elara stood in that alley for 11 minutes. She counted every second. She watched a rat scurry past her Louboutins. She listened to the muffled applause from inside, where her pregnant mistress and their brilliant, fertile future. Then she pulled out her phone. not to call her lawyer, not to call her mother. She called someone much more dangerous. "It's time," she said when he answered. "Execute Protocol Helix." 3 months later, Genesis Biotech had a problem. Actually, Genesis Biotech had 17 problems. But the biggest one was currently standing outside the boardroom, refusing to identify themselves. Damon Cross sat at the head of the conference table, his jaw tight. Around him, 12 board members shifted nervously in their leather chairs. The merger with Apex Pharmaceuticals was supposed to be finalized today. $8 billion. Global distribution networks. A pathway to FDA fast-tracking. Everything hinged on one final vote. The majority shareholder. The mysterious entity known only as Helix Holdings. Helix owned 41% of Genesis Biotech. Nobody knew who they were. The shares had been purchased through shell companies, offshore accounts, layers of legal protection so complex it would take years to untangle. For the past 5 years since Genesis Biotech existed, Helix had been a silent partner, voting yes on every proposal, never making waves. Until today, the room went silent. Someone's pen clattered to the floor. Sasha, sitting 3 seats down from Damon, pressed a protective hand to her swollen belly. 8 months now. Almost time. "Hello, Damon," Elara said. Her voice carried none of the tremor from that night. No tears, no rage, just cold, clinical precision. "Gentlemen, Dr. Volkov, I believe you've been waiting for me." "What are you doing here?" Damon's voice came out strangled. Elara set a briefcase on the table, clicked it open, pulled out a stack of documents, and began distributing them. "I'm here as the representative of Helix Holdings." "Oh, I'm sorry. I should clarify. I am Helix Holdings. Every share, every vote, every decision for the past 5 years. That was me." The board members grabbed the documents, flipping through them frantically. Incorporation papers, stock certificates, patent filings. Damon's face went white. "That's not possible." "Isn't it?" Elara pulled out a chair and sat down, crossed her legs. "Let me walk you through this, since I know you're not much for details. Genesis Biotech's core technology, the CRISPR modification platform you've been licensing to half the biotech firms in the country, is built on patents filed between 2018 and 2021. The adaptive protein sequencing algorithm, the cellular regeneration framework, the gene splicing automation that makes your therapy affordable." She paused. Let it sink in. "I filed those patents, Damon, under my maiden name, before we got married, before I was stupid enough to let you put your name on my research." One of the board members leaned forward. "This can't be legal. Those patents were assigned to Genesis." "Were they?" Elara smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Because I have the original documentation right here. My signature, my attorney, my intellectual property. What Genesis has is a licensing agreement that I signed 7 years ago, when I was naive enough to believe in partnership." She pulled out another document, placed it in front of Damon. That licensing agreement had a clause, Section 14, subsection C. "In the event of separation, dissolution of marriage, or material breach of partnership, all rights revert to the original patent holder." You discarded me, Damon. You called me a dead end in front of the world. That's material breach. The room erupted. Lawyers started making phone calls. The CFO looked like he might vomit. Damon just stared at her. "You can't do this." I already did. Elara pulled out another paper. This is a cease and desist order, filed this morning. Genesis Biotech no longer has the legal right to use any technology derived from my patents, which means your merger with Apex, dead. Your ongoing clinical trials, suspended. Your FDA applications, revoked pending review. You're frozen, Damon. Every asset, every project, every brilliant future you were building. Sasha stood up abruptly. This is insane. You're destroying thousands of jobs, research that could save lives. Elara turned to her slowly. Dr. Volkov, congratulations on your pregnancy, by the way. That IVF procedure you used, the one that helped you conceive after years of trying, that's protected under patent 7492B, my patent, which means technically you're carrying my intellectual property. The color drained from Sasha's face. I'm joking, Elara said flatly. Mostly. But the technology that will be used to sequence your son's genome at birth, that's mine too. So choose your next words carefully. Damon slammed his hand on the table. What do you want? I want you to understand something. Elara stood, buttoned her lab coat. When you threw me away like garbage, you didn't just humiliate me. You miscalculated. You assumed I was nothing without you, that I was the breakdown wife, the silent partner, the woman who smiled and signed whatever you put in front of her. She walked around the table slowly, letting each board member feel the weight of her presence. But I built this company, Damon. Every algorithm, every breakthrough, every piece of innovation you've taken credit for in interviews and keynote speeches. That was my work. And now? She stopped behind his chair, leaned down, spoke directly into his ear. Now I'm taking it back. All of it. You wanted a dead end? Congratulations. You're standing on one. She straightened, looked at the board. Gentlemen, Dr. Volkov, I'll give you 72 hours to decide. You can accept my terms, which include Damon's immediate resignation, full financial restructuring, and a new licensing agreement where I retain controlling interest, or you can liquidate. Either way, this company continues without him. The choice is yours. She walked to the door, paused. Oh, and Damon? That medical record you projected at the gala? I had it independently verified after your little performance. Turns out it was falsified. I'm not infertile. Never was. But you already knew that, didn't you? The door closed behind her with a soft click. If you were her, would you have walked away right then? Tell me in the comments. 2 weeks later, Damon Cross did something he hadn't done in 20 years. He begged. Elara's new office was in a building she'd purchased quietly 6 months ago. 16th floor, corner view. No receptionist, no security. Just a locked door and an intercom. Damon pressed the button. Elara, please, I need to talk to you. Silence. I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did was... His voice cracked. Please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. The door buzzed open. Elara sat behind a glass desk, reading something on her tablet. She didn't look up when he entered. You have 4 minutes now. You wasted one begging. Damon closed the door. He looked different. Thinner. The tailored suit hung wrong on his frame. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His hands trembled as he approached the desk. I need you to stop this, he said. The cease and desist. The patent claims. The board revolt. We're going to destroy everything we built. I built, Elara corrected, still not looking up. And yes, that's the idea. People are going to lose their jobs. Research will be shut down. Clinical trials that could save lives? Don't. Her voice cut like surgical steel. Don't you dare try to guilt me with the people you never cared about. Those employees, I'm hiring them. The research, I'm funding it. The trials, I'm continuing them under a new company that you have no part of. The only person losing anything is you." Damon's knees buckled. He caught himself on the edge of her desk. "I made a mistake." "You made 17,432 mistakes, Damon." I counted. Every lie, every dismissive comment, every time you took credit for my work or made me feel small so you could feel big. The gala wasn't the mistake. It was just the loudest one. "I know." He was crying now, actually crying. Tears tracked down his face, dripping onto her glass desk. "I know I can't fix this. I know there's no apology big enough. But I'm asking anyway. Please, don't destroy me." Elara finally looked up. Her expression gave nothing away. "Why did you do it?" "What?" "The gala, the medical records, the public humiliation. Why that way? You could have divorced me quietly, paid me off, kept me silent. Instead, you chose maximum cruelty. I want to know why." Damon sank into the chair across from her. He looked at his hands. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. "Because I needed you to hate me." "Well, congratulations. Mission accomplished." "No, you don't understand." He looked up, and the anguish in his eyes was real. Raw. "Elara, I'm dying." She went very still. "Not now. Not yet. But I will be." He pulled a folder from his jacket, slid it across the desk. 2 years ago, I found out I carry a genetic marker. Rare. Fatal. It causes catastrophic vascular collapse in pregnant partners. Something about the hormonal interaction during pregnancy triggers an autoimmune response. The mother's body essentially attacks itself. Hemorrhage, organ failure, death, usually during delivery or within hours after. Elara opened the folder. Medical reports, genetic screening results, research papers documenting 14 cases globally, all with the same outcome: dead mothers, surviving children. "My mother died giving birth to me," Damon continued. "My grandmother died giving birth to my father. I knew it ran in the family, but I thought it was bad luck. Coincidence. Then I got tested, and I found out the truth. I'm a genetic time bomb for any woman who tries to carry my child." Elara's fingers tightened on the papers. "When we got married, I didn't know yet. By the time I found out, you were talking about starting a family. You were so excited. You'd started taking prenatal vitamins. You'd bookmarked fertility apps. And I realized," his voice broke, "if you got pregnant, I would kill you. Not might, would. 97% fatality rate. Those are the statistics. So you falsified my medical records," Elara said slowly. "I hired the best forgers money could buy. I needed you to believe you couldn't have children. I needed you to stop trying. But you didn't stop. You wanted to do IVF, surrogacy, adoption. You were so determined to build a family with me, and every option was another risk, another way I might lose you. So you chose Sasha. I chose someone I didn't love." Damon's hands clenched into fists. "Someone whose death wouldn't destroy me. I needed to test the gene therapy I'd been developing, the modification that might neutralize the marker. I needed a clinical trial, and I couldn't risk you. So I found someone ambitious enough to take the risk, for money and status. Someone who signed informed consent paperwork buried in a prenatal agreement. Someone expendable." Elara stood up abruptly, walked to the window, stared at the city below. "The gala was supposed to make you leave," Damon said behind her. "I needed you to hate me so much that you'd never take me back. Never forgive me. Never let me near you again. Because as long as you loved me, you'd try. You'd want us to have children together. And I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't watch you die because of me. So you destroyed me instead. I destroyed us. I made myself the villain so you'd be safe. And it worked. You hate me now. You'll never forgive me. You'll never try to have my children. Mission accomplished. He laughed bitterly. Except I forgot that you're smarter than me, stronger than me. And now you're taking everything I have, and I deserve it. God, I deserve it. Elara turned around. Her eyes were dry, but something flickered in them. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding, maybe, or calculation. Is the gene therapy working? Yes. Sasha's in her 8th month. All her vitals are normal. The fetal-maternal microchimerism is stable. The modification is holding. If she delivers safely, we'll have proof of concept. We can cure this. And then what? You thought you'd come back to me with your cure and your dead mistress and ask for forgiveness? No. Damon stood, faced her. I thought I'd die alone, knowing I'd saved your life. That was enough. That was supposed to be enough. Elara stared at him for a long moment. Get out, she said finally. Elara, get out of my office. Go home, watch your mistress deliver your heir. Publish your research. Save future generations from your genetic curse. She walked back to her desk, sat down, picked up her tablet. And know that everything you did, the humiliation, the betrayal, the public execution, bought you nothing. Because I wouldn't have died giving birth to your child, Damon. He froze. What? I'm a geneticist, you idiot. Do you think I didn't run compatibility screening before we got married? I knew about your marker. I knew about your family history. And I spent 3 years developing a counter-modification specifically designed to protect carriers like me. It's in my patent portfolio. Patent 8903K, filed 4 years ago. The air left Damon's lungs in a rush. I was never at risk, Elara continued. And you were so busy trying to protect me that you never thought to ask if I'd already protected myself. So yes, you destroyed me for nothing. You threw away everything we had for a lie. And now you get to live with that. She looked up, met his eyes. 72 hours, Damon. Resign or I liquidate. Those are still your options. Damon left. The door closed behind him with the same soft click. Elara sat in the silence for a long time. Then she opened her drawer and pulled out a small box. Inside was a positive pregnancy test, 7 weeks along. She'd known for 3 days. She hadn't decided what to do with the information yet, but now, watching the city lights flicker on as evening fell, she thought maybe she did. She picked up her phone. Dr. Chen? It's Elara. I need to schedule a consultation. Yes, prenatal. But I want full genetic modification protocols in place. My specifications, my patents. She paused. And I want it kept confidential, completely confidential. No records, no leaks. No one can know. She hung up. Outside, the city continued its indifferent rhythm. Somewhere, Damon was driving home to his pregnant mistress and his empty victory. Somewhere, board members were deciding whether to salvage their company or let it burn. And in her office, Elara Cross placed one hand on her stomach and smiled. She'd told Damon the truth. She wouldn't have died giving birth to his child. She just hadn't mentioned that she was going to. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. On her terms. With her science, her control, her legacy. The building didn't just burn down with him inside. She made him hand her the matches first.